just riding along here, it seems like as good a time as any to talk about my motorcycle. Maybe just preview a few of the things that I love about the bike, noticed about the bike, and just why I bought it. I have to say, the first thing that I did when I sat on it, that's when and what drove me to actually buy this bike. I actually came in looking for a Honda Goldwing. I wanted to be able to ride something longer distance, maybe travel up to my hometown in West Virginia, and I thought that might be a comfy option. So I sat on the bike, realized that that fairing kind of bothered me. The front, it was just too much like a car dash, so I didn't care for that. I couldn't put highway pegs on it, and I like highway pegs. I like to put my feet out. Oh, where's that coming from? I hear an ambulance. I guess it was on the interstate. But okay, getting back to the, oh, here it goes again. Wow, can't tell where that siren's coming from. So I don't like fairings. Realized that pretty quick after I sat on the bike. And I even went so far as to try a Harley Road King, Road Glide, Street Glide. Test rode those. Nothing wrong with those. It just turned out not to be my preference. But when I sat on the Springfield, I noticed immediately the buckhorn handlebars. they come back at an angle, I don't know, 45 degrees or so, and it just sits, for me, perfect. Love it, love it, love it. Now, I don't need, hey buddy, I don't need the handlebars to sweep back because I don't have long enough arms. I'm 6'4". I can reach the handlebar, but it puts you in a position that is just so comfortable. And what's also worth noting is the floorboards down there. They're extra large. I don't have the biggest feet, but they're not small either. I guess I typically wear a size 12, and I can put my feet on comfortably, heel to toe, all the way on the footboards, and have room to spare. And that combination and the seating position being a little bit lower felt perfect. I also noticed immediately on the test ride that it was very balanced. I could actually stand much like I would if I were buying a bicycle, throw a leg over the bike, and just balance it in between at a standing position. I could kind of bounce it between my knees. Now we're talking about a motorcycle that's 850 pounds. And I would attribute that to just the lower center of gravity. It's built to be that way. I mean, it doesn't make it lighter. It's just not top heavy. And when compared to the Harleys that I rode, which no offense to anybody that like Harley, I like all motorcycles. They're all fun. But in that particular case, I felt like the Road King that I did actually particularly like. It rode well, had a nice strong engine, nothing wrong with it, but it just felt a little top heavy. So it wasn't my preference for some of those reasons. I also noticed that the Road King, up here on the controls, it was all blacked out. Some people like that blacked out look, and it's not bad. It's kind of cool when done intentionally on across the whole bike. But what I liked about this was actually all the chrome, and it's chromed out all the way up to and through the controls, which is pretty sweet. I'll tell you what's not sweet. That trash right there, I can smell it. Yuck. Ugh. That's the one time I don't like riding a bike. You're following the garbage truck. Woo. So what else can I tell you? The suspension. Now, I'll be honest about this. The suspension, I have noticed since owning the bike that it's a pretty sweet ride. But I've also listened to some reviews that have probably made me think about that more than I would have otherwise. But I've hit some pretty good potholes, and I think it would have been hit a little harder on any other bike. And I can adjust the rear. It's a rear monoshock. It's got a adjustment that I can just take a little, add a little pressure or remove some. I had to laugh. Amanda up at Metro Milwaukee at the dealership there. And yes, I rode a very long way to get this bike. All the way up there, they treated me really well. They had just the bike I was looking for, so I made the trip up there. And she made reference to if she said some women will lie if they get on the back of your bike and say, "Oh, I'm 110 pounds." I didn't say it, she said it, so don't give me such grief, you people. She's like, "Well, you can always adjust it very slightly when they're at the restroom at a restaurant. Just don't say anything." That's maybe a bit more genteel. So there's a lot of things I like about the bike. I love the way it looks. I love the way it rides. It even came with some of the things that I wanted, which is the heel shifter and the wind deflector in the front. I like that this doesn't have that big fairing. That's what I was really going for. I just like an open look. Now, I would like to have a trunk space, and I may add that at some point. Get a low profile trunk, something sweet like that. But this bike basically had what I needed right out of the gate, so hard to complain. Now, if I was really looking for something to complain about, I guess I could come up with something, and I'd probably mention the controls. Now, these are not backlit. I don't know that it's not a deal breaker. You get used to any bike, any car, whatever you're into and you ride or drive every day. But at night, being unfamiliar, my very first trip, I was trying to just switch between high beam and low beam, and I had to maybe reach a little bit, make a quick stop here. Had to reach a little bit. And I've got a long reach, and yet I felt like I had to reach a little bit more, and I didn't know where I was reaching. I was fumbling a little bit in the dark. So it would be cool, extra cool, if they had these controls backlit. I don't know, that's, like I said, I'm just searching for something. What else? I love the fact that the windscreen is quickly detachable, and I can ride naked. There, mater! Naked meaning not naked, but without the windscreen. In the summertime, it'd be nice to get a quick breath of fresh air. So as I'm still sitting here with this freight train, I'm reminded of the other small thing that I would probably like to adjust at some point. This is a V-twin, and it's an air-cooled engine, and it gets hot. And right here, especially on the right side, it gets particularly hot because the catalytic converter, doing what it does, basically backs up all that heat. It's not a downside of the bike, it's just the way that the air-cooled engine works. This particular model year is a 2017, and it does not have the ride modes that the new ones have. I don't know if I'd miss that or not. I don't know if I'd use it. I just simply don't know. All I know is that I am not suffering for a lack of power or any of that. I'm quite happy. So the other thing about this bike is just its torque. It's not revved real high, it's smooth and easy, has a lot of power in the lower spectrum, so when I throttle up, I mean, it has plenty. Plus, it has all the power I need. Now, there's always those performance junkies that are wanting to one up, and hey, I might be there too one day, and maybe not even that long from now, where I want just a little more horsepower, a little bit more torque, or whatever. I guess it's all kind of in the fun. I just love being on a motorcycle. This motorcycle in particular. Just love it. Woohoo! Fun.